y'all, I'm Ellen. We've been super inspired by our journeys of self-healing and discovery.
And I'm Sam, and we want to share our experiences with you to help you get curious about yourself, reconnect, and get intentional about your life so you know what makes you happy.
Welcome to Woo New, the podcast.
All right. Well, Amy, thank you so much again for being here and for coordinating with us during such this crazy time, since especially we know you're in the middle of a move. We are so thrilled to be here with you. So Amy Sikarskie is an international energy therapist, an intuitive channel, and a past life hypnotherapist. She's also a teacher. She is the co-founder of the Spirit School, and she has Claire gifts, interdimensional beings that she works with. So all the things, Amy, thank you. And welcome to the Woo New podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So you really are a special guest for us because I have just started my journey with energy healing and studying energy work just in general. And so it's so exciting for me to meet somebody like you who's been in this space for so long and has so many different types of energy healing modalities that you can offer. So let me back up here for a second and just sort of maybe open the conversation around I know you've been called a healer's healer, and there are probably a ton of different things that people come to you for. How do you explain what you do to someone who wants to know more but is not really familiar with energy healing?
Oh, sure. Yes. So that is a great question. Energy therapy is one that I feel is best explained through experience, and putting that into words can be a little challenging at times. But there are different frequencies of energy that can be harnessed and utilized in sessions. And we'll probably get into some of that. But I guess the overall aspect is that in a session, we are dealing with the subtle layers of the biofield or the aura, and also the chakras and the energy in the physical body. So it's a very relaxing experience. Many times the client will be lying on a massage table, but they stay fully clothed, and the practitioner will work with their hands either on the body or in the energy field, or a combination of both. And what we do is we sense for disruptions in the flow of energy. And the more advanced the practitioner is through experience or training, or just maybe their gifts, they're just born, with all of these gifts, then they can discern different aspects of the disruptions. So is there a block or a tear? Is there something in the energy that doesn't belong to the client? And from there, we work with the frequencies to clear and release. And sometimes I look at it like an energetic chiropractic adjustment. So we also realign the patterns, and we will realign the flow of energy, open, strengthen the chakras. And for a client or the person receiving the session, it's a very relaxing experience. Often they will fall asleep or just naturally go into a meditative space. So the frequencies go through all the layers of the aura, and they help calm and relax the mind, the body, and the spirit. And most of the time, practitioners will receive some sort of intuitive information, again, depending on their skill set or and also with skill set, it really goes into their experience and willingness or openness to trust what they're receiving, because this type of work isn't something that's, very, I would say, common when you're a child that's spoken about. So it's a whole other world that you wake up to. And in that experience, you're learning to perceive and trust the information. So the practitioners can receive messages and information, but for me, what I really enjoy is when the client receives information. So they might have a vision or a memory or start seeing colors. And to me, that's really a great experience because that's something, again, that has to be experienced by the person receiving. And sometimes you'll have those who don't believe in energy work at all, or they're a little curious, and then they have a great session. And it's really, I think it's really fun. It's really enjoyable to then have the conversation with them afterwards. But the whole premise of it is to provide a healthy flow for the energy, which then influences and affects our mind, our body, our emotions, and all aspects of well being.
Sorry. Sorry, Sam.
Go ahead.
I'm curious as you're working with people, if as you're looking for these disruptions in the energy field and in their bodies, are you identifying specifically what is causing that disruption?
Yeah, for most of the time, yes. It's pretty rarely where I won't receive that information. When somebody first starts out, and one of the really, I guess, like one of the best and most gentlest of types of sessions. So for a practitioner to learn would be Reiki. It's very natural and it's really, I would call it basic, but it can become advanced. But it's just a really great introduction. And so a Reiki practitioner or somebody doing energy work at the beginning might not be able to tune into all of those details, if you want to call them that. But over the years, I have developed my practice and my abilities so that for the most part, yes. And my goal is to fix the disruption, but at times I've found that the information will come through and it's needed for the client to help, just to help them integrate and understand a bit more of what's happening. And I always find that knowledge is so powerful and healing. So at the same time, they could have a session where that knowledge did not come in and they would still receive the healing, but it might take a little bit longer for it to integrate, meaning maybe it brings up some emotions that they don't understand. And so then they struggle or fight with that. And, um, then maybe they're wondering what's wrong with me, or their mind goes to all these different places. Whereas if they were told, oh, we released this and it was related to this experience, you might be feeling this way, then that just helps them in their healing, for it to flow a little bit better. But I do see a lot of times the source or what that energy is related to and how it's influencing them in their current experience. And if I don't see it, I can ask if the client is curious and then tune into that information.
Whoa, that's so cool. I have had I've had sessions where I've been working with different energy healers who have seen the same things come up, the same blocks come up for me at different times, and they both cleared it. Is that because I just wasn't ready to let it go, or because something triggered it to come back up again? What would cause that, do you think?
Oh, yes. So that could be both. It kind of depends on the specifics of your experience. So, absolutely, sometimes it just isn't ready to be released through all aspects of your being. So maybe they cleared it from one chakra, but then it was still in the auric field, or maybe 90% of it cleared, or maybe it was related to an event and you cleared the fear around it, but then the other practitioner found anger or something like that. So, um, it's really unique. Every session is different, but that can happen. And I think for most of us, our goal is to give the most efficient and effective session. And by doing that, we have to show up. As a practitioner, we show up for the client or family friend, whoever it is that's receiving, and they show up as well. So, in that experience and being and holding that space, we just ask that whatever is needed at that moment in that session transpire. So, there is an element of intention and there's an element of being in the flow and receiving, but also just being open to the wonderment of the experience. And some sessions do take more than one, or some experience, let's say, would take more than one session, but it's very unique. No session is ever alike. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm curious if you ever give your clients almost like homework to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think about like my journey too, and Sam knows this, but I over the past couple of years, I worked through a lot of grief from losing my father as a teenager. And looking back at some of the sessions I've had, it dawns on me that like part of the healing process for me has been to obviously work through the emotions of it, but also come to a new understanding of how to let go, which is, it's like there's so much work that I had to do also on my own, having acknowledged or seen, where the sources of my pain were coming from. So I'm curious how you work with your clients on that too.
Yeah, we do give homework sometimes. So most of the information that will come through is channeled information. So it's guidance from a higher realm. And so when I give homework, it's mostly because I'm guided to, and they have specific suggestions, we'll say, for them. But I do, in certain times, I will bring in the education or the experiences that I've had and share them with the client and just say to them, this is from me, in my experience, this is what has worked. So there's a blending of both. But I like that you bring this up because it is really important for someone who's going to see a therapist, an energy therapist, to know that it's a partnership and they are accountable for their healing as well. So we hold the space, we provide information, we assist with the adjustments, but it really is up to the person receiving to be open, to do the work. And in
Mhm.
whatever form that looks like, if they're ready to go all in at a 10, that's awesome. But if they're ready and they're at a 3, that's okay too. So we're there to support them. And it is a process. There's not a one size fits all. So, but yeah, homework is important. Definitely.
So, our listeners are, I think, fairly familiar with Reiki because we've talked about it quite a bit. But I'm curious about how you found all of these other deeper modalities of energy healing along your journey.
Oh yeah, that's a fun story. Um, so when I was in high school, my parents divorced and it led me on a path of just looking for answers. It was just a really challenging time. And we were a very religious family and I just wasn't finding comfort in my religion. So I looked outward and I was just led to a crystal shop one day and they were doing Reiki samples, I guess you would say, free 15-minute Reiki sessions. And that was my introduction into Reiki. And so when I turned 19, I believe, my stepmom, she said, hey, I'm going to take a Reiki class. Do you want to join? And so, sure. And that's how it all started. And then I went to nursing school and had a family. And later on in life, moved to San Antonio. And as I was moving, I just had this energy, like this inspiration, this wave of energy come over me where I just all of a sudden felt like there's no blocks and anything's possible. And I moved from a very small town that was extremely, well, let's just say it was in the Bible Belt. So this type of work wasn't very well, well received. So when we moved to San Antonio, I thought, wow, I'm moving to one of the biggest cities here. Surely I can find a way to work with this and there'll be people that are open to energy work. So I mean, right from the very beginning that month, I looked for classes and took one that was on earth based energy therapy. And our teacher came in from California to teach us. And it was just such an incredible experience. And we learned at a deeper level the anatomy of the energy body, the aura, the chakras, different things you can find in the energy session as a practitioner. And what was unique is we learned how to use earth frequency. So in the past, it was Reiki. And Reiki, when you're practicing with this, you open your crown chakra and it comes out through your heart, your hands, but it flows down through the higher chakras. With earth frequency, it's the opposite. It comes through your feet and you access it through the energy that's found at the core of the earth. It's golden liquid light energy, and it's really unique. So that was the start of it. And from there, my team started working with me. And by that, I mean my spirit team, my guides, and my clair gifts just really opened. And so I started seeing flashbacks of past experiences, past lives where I was healing. And I also started, my hands would move in a unique way, in different ways than what they had with Reiki. So that inspired me to want to really know, what is this? Am I the only one that does this? Is this normal? Like what's going on? And so I looked into other forms of energy therapy and found that in pranic healing, they do some similar movements when they're clearing the aura. And I also found reconnective healing, and that one was very interesting. Are you familiar with reconnective healing?
No, I'd love to hear more about that.
Okay. Yes. So reconnective healing uses a frequency that was was I want to say found so by Dr. Eric Pearl, and he's a chiropractor out in California. And he came across a healer who introduced it to him, and then he made it more known to the public. And so it is a modality that's worldwide. They travel the world and train in it, but the frequency is a little bit different. The frequency of it feels more cosmic, and the premise is completely different. They don't particularly recommend even touching the body, but you work more out in the energy field. And rather than tuning into what's happening and moving and clearing energy and chakras, it doesn't really work that way. You just hold the space, and rather than the energy flowing through you, it feels like it bounces off of you. Um, and that is really neat too. I've had some wonderful energy sessions with all of the modalities, and they're all very unique, but I feel like they well, for me anyways, have provided not only answers but healing, and all of them combined throughout my whole journey have helped me awaken and activate my clair gifts, and just, they've really helped me to be who I am today. So I would just say to anybody that if they're interested in energy therapy, they could look at the different modalities, but also be open and be in the flow, and whatever crosses your path. That's how I did it. Just whatever crossed my path. Then I just looked into it a little bit more, and it's pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing journey for sure.
I'm so excited right now because I feel like you just told half my story. Like I started with studying Reiki, and then I was working with this other energy healer. And at one point I was like, I don't know, I know Reiki goes from the head down, but I can feel the energy and it wants to come from like my feet up, and then my hands started moving, and it's like I'm doing qigong, but it's not qigong, and it just takes over my body. And I was like, and it feels like a different frequency. So I'm so excited to hear about all of this from you. And like, I can't wait to see where all of this goes. It's so cool because it really does.
Wow.
It just opens up on its own almost.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that makes me so happy. Yes, it does. And you just have to flow with it, see where it takes you.
Yeah. Oh my
Do you
God.
actually take all of these things and in one session mix it all together, or do you kind of like separate them out?
Well, over the years, I just let come in what needs to come in unless the client says they particularly want a specific frequency. So a traditional Reiki session looks very different from how I work now. Um, and so I use a blending of them, but I've actually, how do I say this? Things have developed or through life because I move so much. Right now, most of my clients are online, so not many are in person. And when I do work online, it is, I would say probably more Reiki or cosmic energy that comes in, but I can do the reconnective frequency and the earth energy as well. So for the most part, it will be one type of frequency and it's based on what that client needs in that session. But on all of them, especially when they're in person, I will ground them at the end. And so with that, it's nice to use earth energy. It really helps support a deep ground. So, yeah.
Okay.
This is so
Wow.
cool. I'm like, my whole body just lit up. I was like, it's exactly what you were saying. It's like the possibilities are endless.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, so, okay, we talked a little bit about reconnective healing and earth-based transpersonal healing. What is and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but the Forsyth crystal light table?
Hmm. Yeah, you were close. It's the Forsyth crystal light table, and I've had experience with two crystal light tables, and this one's they're both different or unique. So my first experience was with that place in Utah, and they had a light table that was similar to John of God's, where it has 7 Vogel crystals pointed at each chakra, and you lie under it, and then the light flows through. But the Russell Forsyth light table, that one, it started out in that similar fashion, but then he got more information. And this one uses 1 Vogel crystal at the crown chakra. And Vogel crystals are really amazing. They have different cuts that are designed to harness the energy in a specific way. And so there's one at the crown chakra, and it's a combination of crystal therapy, sound. So we use crystal singing bowls to balance the chakras and clear the aura, and light. So every chakra has a light frequency. And in a session with the table, you get a sound bath and a light bath, crystal work, and also magnets are involved, and a little bit more. But this type of session is really, really nice. They have tables that are designed for the spa where you wouldn't really have to the practitioner is very basic. Basically, some of them you can go in without a practitioner, and then there's other sessions that are much more advanced where you would have a full assessment, a reading of your energy and intention with it of what needs to be done in the session. And in a crystal light table session, it's a combination of working with the archangels and the frequency and science, I guess you would say, because you basically have all these tools that scientifically bring the energy back into balance. And so it's another experience. It's a blending, depending on your practitioner, of their gifts, so their healing practice, whatever tools they use as far as the frequencies and their clair gifts, and then the table. And those sessions, again, they're really, really nice. So when we get deeper into disruptions in the energetic field, one of the, I guess, like, most significant or serious things that we can find is the energy of another being in someone's aura or attached to a chakra. And this can be, well, often it's a disembodied being, so a ghost or entity. And the table does a really nice it's just so nice to help release these spirits because it is using frequency to help separate the energies. And as a practitioner, it's really comforting and it's a really beautiful tool to use. But at a basic level, it balances all the chakras, clears the energy, and realigns the polarity in the body. So it's another it's another aspect, it's another offering that I have. And again, if a client wants to try it, then they set up an appointment just for that. So
Can we dig into this attachment of other entities? Because I'm so
sure.
fascinated by that. Like, why does that happen? And how does it, I guess, manifest in you as a person? Do you just feel heavy, or do you feel a mixture of different things?
Yeah, you can feel a variety of things. Now, first, I feel like it depends upon the individual. Are they sensitive? Are they aware? Are they on autopilot? Do they just get up every day and do the same thing and kind of like a robot go through life? Or are they one who's really aware of their emotions and their feelings and checks in with themselves in the morning? So, depending on where you are, you may or may not notice that you have an attachment. um, and they say that for the most part, everybody will at one point or time in life. I had an attachment, and it was really interesting because I kept getting to study this, and I was like, oh, I don't know, because there is more. I find as a practitioner, there's definitely more responsibility when working with a session like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a deeper level of training and responsibility. So I was kind of resistant. I was a little hesitant. I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe, okay. And as I was taking time figuring if I wanted to do that or not, one day I just all of a sudden got really, really sad, and I had no idea why. I was like, what is happening? And I just went and laid down, and I was in fetal position, just crying, like just sobbing, this just sorrow. I had no idea where it was coming from. And I thought something is completely off. This is not me. I don't know what's going on. And so I called Russell. He did a session with me, and he's so good. His sessions. He basically led me through like a meditation. He already knew, but he wanted me to see for myself, I guess. And I saw that there was a woman there, and she was attached to me. And she had committed suicide, and so she was a ghost or a spirit. And she had two kids about the same age as my children. And he just got that she was just really, sad and upset. She couldn't handle being a mom. She wanted to see how I was handling it, and how, she kind of just like was attracted to me for that information or education and felt comfort. And so we helped cross her over, and then I felt like me again. And it made so much sense because all of that sorrow that I felt was just so incredibly deep. It's hard to explain. And it was her sadness that I was feeling. So when a spirit attaches to somebody or is just in their energy field hanging around, the person in the human, the person, they will feel a variety of things from time to time. They can pick up habits and new thoughts. They can even pick up the physical symptoms. So if somebody crossed over and they died from a specific disease, over time that could manifest in the other person. Um,
Wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really something else. I mean, we've seen quite a few I've seen quite a few cases, doing this work, but the great thing is once it's released, everything clears up, and you have a lot of people that might be skeptical, and I completely respect that, absolutely. Uh, but you can't deny when after a session, somebody's whole life changes and they, become more balanced or healed or whole or however you want to say it. So you can pick up a lot of different qualities that aren't your own if you have an attachment. And some of the biggest or some of the most significant signs I would say are when people say they keep hearing thoughts that aren't their own, or like really emotional and it doesn't make sense. They don't know why they're all of a sudden emotional, or they're really tired. It can, depending on where the being attaches. So if they're around the mind, then they might feel tired or have a foggy way of thinking. They're just not clear on their thinking. And so it's nice to know that yes, we have a medical approach, and so much can be based just on the physical biology and chemistry of our body. But for a lot of people, if they are trying to resolve something and they're just not getting relief or success from the medical community, then it's nice to know, okay, well, maybe there's just another avenue that we can work with this. And so I found that energy work is, the thing. It really, really helps. So,
Well,
Yeah.
it's amazing that this stuff, like, because we're so conditioned to look for something inside of us, that would be causing the disruption or the pain or whatever you're experiencing. But to actually know that it could also be coming from outside of yourself, that's something like this, like an attachment, is actually in a strange way kind of comforting, to know that it may not just be yeah, something that is
It's
inside
not
of you
just in
that
your
is
head. Yeah.
right,
mhm,
right, exactly. I'm
yeah.
curious what you have been seeing just with your clients, any trends that have been coming up, and just anything that's been coming up around this time, because it is just so unique, like what we're going through right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for all of us, I know at least in my experience, I started to notice a little shift in energy around November and December. And actually, it happened on 11/11, where things started to shift. And so, of course, I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is it. This is normal. It's 11/11, a great gateway here. But from that space, everything has just unfolded. So I have been seeing some similar patterns in my life and with clients, and it really didn't ramp up until January because I was taking limited sessions in November and December with the holidays. And then in January, what happened is I kept seeing a lot of readings where people were coming to me because they felt they weren't on their path or something felt off, they didn't feel grounded, and so looking into their future when these readings, it was a lot of moments of okay, well, you have choices that you'll get to make, and the energy is not quite set. There's going to be, you could go left or right, but this will be the time. They always gave a time period. You'll see an increase in energy or an opening for a decision at this space and time. So this month or this day, this week, that sort of a thing. And it always was just super interesting because in prior to that, I would definitely be able to get more detailed information. And so I was seeing it in patterns. And it was more, instead of being very concrete and linear, it was more about the energy and what will they create. And so we're stepping more into a self mastery vibration where we have the ability and we have the responsibility, if you would like to even go that far, which I do, of being responsible for our vibration, our choices, our actions, and what we want to create, and that the energy moving forward will support us in that. So, I don't know who would have predicted this coronavirus, but it wasn't on my radar. And maybe it's because I didn't ask, or maybe it's because my team, they love to just kind of give me little pieces of information as I need it, you know. But here we are in a really unique space and time on Earth where not only has this brought everybody's awareness on one thing, I think it's united the world in a way because everybody is now at home, kind of, you know, like on this soft lockdown is what I call it. I'm on a stay at home order, so we aren't supposed to leave unless it's for essential things. And but it's given us a time to be quiet and go within. And for our children, it's given them a chance to return to childhood again, is what I feel. We go for walks because we can do that, but we're just not supposed to go to places with people. So and I see kids playing in the yard and riding their bikes, and it's really nice. We have not seen that in our neighborhood at the level that we are right now. um, and also they're getting all of their homework done on the computer, but they're able to pull back and detach a little bit and be in their space. And the same for those that work in a office. My husband's working from home now, and that's been really unique and interesting just to see the shift in things. But it's provided an opportunity for us to really look at what's important in life and reset and have a little bit of more self-care. Um, so of course there's some fear around this virus, but the interesting thing is when it first started, I just felt like, okay, you know, just observing, like, wow, what's this about? This is different, and wondering how far it was really going to go as far as these orders, you know, and people having to work from home and all of that. How long would the country be? I'm going to call it on lockdown. How
Mhm.
long would we be on lockdown for? Because, you know, I have plans this summer. I have trips and airline tickets. You know, I've got stuff to do. So we will just see. But I felt a sense of peace around it once I really just tuned into it. It just felt okay, here we are, and everything happens for a reason. So, one thing that I like to fall back on, just a way that helps me through life in challenging times, is I think of things like, okay, who's creating this reality? Well, my oversoul, you know, and we have teams and spirit, and I probably wouldn't be here. I wouldn't really want to come at a time that didn't give us an opportunity for success and an opportunity to shift and change things for the better. So, holding that hope and holding the peace in our heart is really important, especially for those of us that are star seeds, earth angels, light workers that have been receiving awareness and messages, and really remembering that we're here at this certain time for a really important like reason. So um yes, some of us have had past lives on earth, many of us haven't. But this particular point in time, there's a reason. And so my team was saying in a message last week, I think it was, they were saying, well, it's time to level up. You've been preparing for this, and here you are. So it's that opportunity for us to hold a space of compassion, um, a space of unity, love, and support for the community. And that could be our family, it could be our neighborhoods, our physical community, could be our online community. And just share with everyone that there is a silver lining in all of this, that there is good that can come from it. But in that experience, what we're noticing is that there is an influx of energy right now in the mass consciousness. So when you tune into the energy on Earth, and when I see it, there's different layers or levels, but it's more like layers or dimensions of frequencies. And so some of that, there is a lot of fear. Some of it, there's, you know, depression or despair. There's some anger. But it's all coming to the surface, it's heightened. And so, in our experiences, even if we're feeling calm, I know that when I've turned on the news or started looking at more on social media about this, even in my mind, I thought, it's okay, we're going to get through it, it'll be all right. But what I noticed is energetically, I started picking up on those vibrations. And how it affected me is I just got really tired and kind of moody, and it wasn't my normal. And so I thought, okay, let's go get a session. And I had a session with my healer, and in the session I saw a lot of cords releasing and a lot of energy that wasn't my own, that was just kind of seeping into my aura. It was just embedded into my aura, clearing that out. And it was collective consciousness, and collective consciousness can be a combination of many vibrations. So some of it was emotion, but a lot of it was thought. And my third eye, I even saw this thought form release or be cleared from my third eye chakra. And I was like, oh, that's really unique. But once that released, any of the little bit of anxiety that I had cleared away as well. So it's kind of my belief that we pick up these frequencies, even through electronics, like through the news and stuff like this. And they just get embedded in our psyche. They just get embedded in our energy and in our being. So I'm feeling quite a bit better after that cleanse. And what it's led me to realize is that even though I'm super sensitive to energy, just on the day to day, little bit by little bit, we can absorb energies of others. And so it's very helpful and super supportive to, especially right now, I'll just stress that right now, to do even multiple times a day self check ins where we stop and maybe do a few minutes of breath work or a 20-minute cleansing meditation. And so, I never really had to do that quite as often in the past. But for those of us who are super sensitive, and maybe if you're not sensitive, it kind of snuck up on me. So I would say everybody should be practicing some self care right now, and thinking and looking at the positive aspect that is coming from all of this, because essentially we're all in it together. And to me, that's a huge comfort, because I feel like, okay, we're all in this together. There's going to be so many aspects of our world as we know it that will be redefined and reset for a new way of proceeding forward. And that gives me hope. That gives me
Yeah.
a lot of hope that we have a whole global community that will be helping get through this.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I do feel like, there's been a lot more meetups and stuff online. Obviously, I've had like happy hours with friends and, these like group chats, and everybody's obviously sharing how they're feeling and how they're thinking. And I've done a few breathwork sessions now online, where one of which, the first one I did, I felt so heavy and just tired, so fatigued the next day that I almost like the whole day was just kind of obliterated. And I didn't quite realize how much energy was being transferred in that experience. And that really taught me, like, okay, don't take this for granted. You really need to do your due diligence in clearing your own energy and making sure you're not affected by the group and the whole.
Mhm.
But, I think especially when it comes to things like fear and like what people are feeling right now, I've had a friend share with me that, it's really difficult for her to even talk about the fun things that she's doing with her kids to some of her relatives who are like in the fear, really in the fear and being caught up by it, because it's almost kind of like, they see it as wrong, to not be caught up in that. And so I think it's what you just said was so beautiful, because it's such an important reminder for those of us who are finding the peace in the stillness and finding, seeing it as a positive shift for all of us, or an opportunity for a positive shift for all of us, to be able to just, you know, bring in that peace and be okay with that, and know
Mhm.
that it's actually what you're doing is you're reflecting out a higher vibration and something more positive that will help the collective.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. One message that my guides kept telling me last week was fear is the virus. So, of
Mm.
course, we're dealing with, the coronavirus, which is a physical Earth experience, but in the higher levels of energy, or let's say just in the mental body, fear can be trapped, and we think over and over about what could go wrong, and then it goes into our emotional body, and then we're feeling the vibration of fear. So, at a very basic level, we have a choice to make, and we can proceed forward, and we can be each moment in a space of fear or in a space of love or peace or hope, however it might be. So, yeah, I like that you mentioned that, because not everybody is as calm about it. And so being there in any way possible, even if it's just sending like an air hug, sending love to them, that will help. That will help.
Have you noticed that, given the current times of uncertainty, that more people are reaching out to explore other modalities like energy healing? Or do you feel like it's um, mostly everybody's just sort of going through their own emotions the way and coping as best they can with the tools that they already have?
A little bit of both, actually. And what's interesting, there was a particular day, I think it's like when everything just got really heightened. Um, I think it was a few days ago, and I received a huge amount of private messages on Instagram, emails, people texting me, like all within this one day. And it was so incredibly overwhelming because I mean, everybody that reached out to me, like, I love them, I know them, I've worked with them in the past, or they're a friend or family. But I thought, wow, I don't have the energy reserves to respond to everybody right now. So I just shut my phone off, and I tell people, and there's still emails and messages that I need to reply to. Um, but I kind of went off the grid in my own way, and I thought, okay. So what I did is I did a few Instagram lives, and they're up now. Then I've reshared them. So talking a little bit about this and offering a guided meditation. Today I feel a little bit better, so I could, probably reach out to some of them and chat a little bit more. I have had an increase in requests for sessions. So our family's in the middle of a move, and we thought we would, probably be like packing up a little bit more by now and moving, but everything's been put on hold. So last month, I actually blocked my calendar where I wasn't taking clients. Um, so it's really interesting. It was like I felt like I needed to block my calendar, but I guess it was for a different reason. So
It's super interesting that you say that too, because I'm so new into this space, but I can totally everything that you're saying totally resonates with me. Like, there have been days where it's like I can feel the energy under the surface, and like this beautiful connection happening where multiple generations of families are coming together and kids are having experiences being kids that they may never have had otherwise. And I feel this like massive amount of hope. And then I think even it was like last Sunday, I woke up and I was out walking through the desert with my dog actually, and I specifically remember feeling like there is such a heavy energy, like through the earth right now, and I couldn't specifically even articulate it necessarily. But since then, I've been having a lot of like, okay, I'm really tired, or I've been having a lot of really crazy dreams that are super uncommon because I never dream about things. So it's a lot of this just sort of like energy brewing under the surface. Um, but I also felt this sort of like weird instinctual need to just sort of step away for a few days and recollect myself and clear my energy so that I can come back and really like be my best self and put more positive energy and higher vibrations back out as I'm like reconnecting with everybody virtually through this time. But it's been so unexpected.
Yeah, it really has. It really has, but I love that that you're sharing that too. That self-care is important, so we don't get run down, you know? But I was feeling that too, putting a lot of pressure on myself. I need to be there for everybody, and I just couldn't. I just had
Yeah.
to step away.
And it's almost like the universe is just telling us, like, this is your time. This is your time to figure it out, to get grounded, to open up, and then to understand where your boundaries are so that we can all put our best selves forward, especially in a
Mhm.
time where everybody's social distancing, but they're also social distancing at home. So with, even in my case, like my parents came out to visit, and they're from Colorado and I live in California. And this whole thing happened, this soft lockdown happened while they were here. So I am reacclimating to living with my parents again. It's like
Oh,
all these
wow.
crazy things are happening, but it's like in a weird
Yeah.
way teaching me this new sense of gratitude for the time that I have with them that I haven't had in years with them, and patience that I've had to learn, but for things that I haven't had to deal with in
Mhm.
probably my entire adult life, if I'm being honest about some of them.
Wow, wow. Yeah, it's a really interesting time that we're in and this experience that we're having. And it's so fun to even see how the kids respond. Our
Yeah.
son, so he's in high school and it hasn't really affected him. I mean, he loves it. So he's doing all of his stuff online and for us this all happened. They had spring break and then it was like, "Oh, you're not going to be going back for 2 weeks." And now it's the rest of April, and they won't be going back at all this school year is what we're feeling. But
Wow.
yeah, so for him over spring break, he decided to teach himself how to code. So he's like all into
So
learning
cool.
all this stuff.
Oh,
Yeah. So he's found ways to really use the time that benefit him. And um, he doesn't feel the fear, but there might be some kids that are feeling that because, like you mentioned, the family, he hasn't seen probably 5 minutes of the news, so
Mhm.
so he's just like, "Hey, this is great," and he's using that experience, this time to create something for himself, and I don't know if there's like one right way or not, but there's just really interesting to hear everybody's experience and how it's affecting them. And there can be positive that comes from it. So, yeah.
that's amazing. I love that. You probably have already answered this, but what is the biggest piece of advice you would have for people right now?
Oh, yeah. I just, before you answered or asked the full question, I heard it.
Ah.
It's just stop and breathe, is what I'm hearing. I feel like, whatever it is, it can get so consuming, you know? Are we getting stir crazy? Are we, getting anxious or overwhelmed? Just stop and breathe. The breath is so powerful. It can really realign you and bring you back to center. I think that right now, with all of the commotion, I'll call it, that's happening in the world and the energy underlying, it's so important to just recenter and come back inside. So that is like the best, very simple way of some self-care is just to stop and breathe. And then for myself, because I heard that as a message, so I don't know that that was for me, but so then from me, I think to be kind and compassionate with ourselves as well. I thought that by this time I would have a few more things accomplished as far as what my plans were for this year. And this has really just put a pause for everybody. And so I'm even having to tell myself, it's okay, like you can only do what you can do. And like I mentioned, I had to take a couple of days where I just didn't do anything. And so relaxing in the moment, self-care. We're integrating so much energy right now, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So if we have a day where you can't really write on paper that you did much, like I have projects that I want to do and it didn't happen, that's okay because there's a reason for this
Mm.
and everything's happening for a reason. So, flowing, going with the flow, remembering what's important. And I think that what's important is kindness and compassion right now, are important, and then just holding that space, that light in your being. Um, so, as I mentioned, we're a generator, and whatever frequency we hold, we are generating that. And you don't have to be an energy practitioner to feel energy and know that one person can influence a room. And so, you can be that person to influence the space in a positive way.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I love that. It's really refreshing, I think, to have that reminder because we forget so often. It's easy to sink into sort of this like uncertainty and worry. But at the end of the day, like everything is changing. And if we look at it really from sort of a 10,000-foot view, it's like as a society, we've known that some of these systems haven't been working for a long time. And so they needed to change. And this is a huge opportunity for us to sort of create a new world
Mhm.
with more of what we do need and more love and more positive energy and joy and time with people and doing things that make us feel happy. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This has really just like made my whole week. I'm so excited.
Where can people find you if they want to work with you? Especially now. I feel like
Yeah.
the need is definitely great, or if they wanted to learn more.
Yeah, so probably the best place is my website, which is my name, amysikarskie.com, and I'll spell that for the audience. So it's AMY, S like Sam, IKARSKIE.com. And I will be taking more clients within the next couple of weeks. So my sessions are opening. Through there, you can find our school, or you can go directly to spiritschoolmagic.com. And then on Instagram, I can be found at Raise the Vibe Tribe or Spirit School Magic and Amy Sikarskie. And I also have a tiny little page dedicated to the Starseed information, and it's called Starseeded_Ascensions on YouTube. Just type in YouTube /Amy Sikarskie, and I have meditations on there. A lot of great videos, like conversational videos that I did with my friend Nicole, and channeled messages from the Council of Light. So, yeah, there's a few resources for you guys, and I'm wishing everybody the best for sure. It's such an incredible experience and time that we have right now. And I feel like I just want to say, whatever you're interested in or whatever you're guided to explore, follow that. So there's a lot of shifting happening right now, and maybe you'll find some information on one of those sites that will help you.
Thank you so much. It's incredible.
Yeah, this is really, really amazing. I can't thank you enough for your time. And we will definitely include all of those links in the notes on the episode when we launch it so that anyone who's interested can easily find you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Music for Woo New is composed by Adam Miller.